Hello?
Can anyone hear Santi?
Ah, so you decided to be dropped from the stage. Boom. Dropped, Jose.
This is abuse of power.
It is what it is, man. It is what it
Uh,
is. You can't come here and just have fun. It doesn't work like that.
you can play this game, Santiago de la Mancha. See, that's what happens when you break the rules, bro. Now I can't hear you for real. I'll connect that. Can you hear me, bro? I literally destroyed your Discord voice. I can't hear you anymore. I can't hear anyone. Can you guys hear me?
Does anyone hear Jose? I can't hear him, bro.
Yeah, I think
I don't think people can hear you, Jose.
they can hear me, bro. They just
I,
can't hear Santi. I can hear you, Dominic.
Jose,
Bro,
can you hear me, bro?
I can hear you.
Jose?
I don't know. See, Santi, you try to play with higher powers, and now you're muted for life. That's what happens. I'm chosen by Iris Santiago. Oh, Jesus.
Trying to find a song for us to start off the
Yeah, we,
day
we
with, you
need we
know?
need a song. A song that plays with the DAO, Dominic Vane. Something like the Godfather team, you know? Something with vibes and gravity.
I'm gonna play our walkout song right now.
Ah man, I love this song. Santi, say something, Santi.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're having technical difficulties at this time. Thank you so much for your patience as we fix these issues. Oh, I see some green movement, but I don't hear you, Santi. And I actually don't hear you.
Man, this is so weird.
Hello, hello, hello.
I hear
Brian, what's
Brian.
up, man?
Let's go.
Santi, try joining with your phone, bro. Let's see if this fix this. Man, you know this all happened because Santi dropped me from stage. I dropped him back, but he never got his audio back.
Santi, you're muted. So maybe unmute yourself.
That's not a problem.
No, his mic is literally off if you look at the icon. Oh, he can't even hear us.
That image is cursed. Literally cursed.
Man,
Cursed
no
image.
way, no way, no way, no way.
No, we do not hear you, Santi. We do not hear you, brother. Yeah, he needs to force quit Discord.
Interesting.
The show must go on. The show must go
the
on.
show must go on.
Give him one
He's
more
the one
minute.
with the agenda.
No,
He's the
no,
only
we
one
have-
with agenda. No, we have it.
Nah, bro. We have the notion, Doc.
The notion, doc.
We
Bro.
can get through some noteworthy news if he's taking a little bit longer. Mm-mm. Oh, Bodie's here. All right. Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Santi, how about let's introduce everyone on the stage here because we have some new faces on stage. Well, not really new faces, but actually not at all new faces. But we do have some people on the stage that aren't usually on the stage. Is what I'm really trying to say. If we want to go around the room here really quick and maybe quick little introduction. For those of you who don't know, we do have 4 of the newly elected council members on the stage with us. We're going to be talking about what they've been doing behind the scenes. It's going to be very interesting. Very excited to get into all this kind of jazz. So, Brian, you're first up on my list. Brian, how you doing, man? Thank you for joining with us today.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Conversation.
Yeah, doing really great. But I have a correction for you. I think there's 5 of us here, so we're all here.
Oh, wait, is Carlos here too?
He
is.
is
He
He's
was.
in the audience.
in the audience. Yes.
Okay, he's in the audience.
He's on a plane right now, so his connection is not good enough to join.
But he is chatting, so that's nice. So we hope
yeah.
you'll be able to comment from
So
there.
yeah, we all here. That's good.
The whole gang is here, ladies and gentlemen. The whole gang is here.
Yeah, so things are going pretty awesome. A lot of admin, but you know what? We're getting to know each other. We're working really well together, and I think that's probably the most important bit, that we're all meshing, we're all in alignment, and heading towards the future.
Awesome, man. Who's next on my list here? Ronald. Ronald, how you doing, brother? Thank you for joining.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me and having us. Looking forward to chat more, of course, on the DAO and the council. Yeah, so far everything is going well. Yeah, well, no, I guess there'll be. I know there will be questions later, so let's just wait for those that are going into that. Let's hope that Santi is able to speak already. Santi.
Yeah, he's having some technical difficulties right now. So we're gonna move on, and if he joins back, great. If not, it's all right. Bodie, you're next on my list. Bodie, how you doing, brother? Thanks for joining.
Great. Thanks everybody for joining. It's been a pretty good week so far. A lot of unique stuff. This first council round will have a lot of the structural things, which will be much different than the future councils. So it's pretty interesting working through all those so early. But yeah, we hit the ground running and got a lot of exciting stuff to share.
Nice, man. Nice. And JP, last but very not least. JP, how you doing, brother? Oh, it looks like you're force muted. I have you server muted. That's on me. Okay, JP, now you can unmute.
I was about to say I've been trying to chime in here, but someone rugged me a little bit. But yeah, no, yeah, glad to be here. It's been fun so far. Like FC said, it's been kind of the setup stuff, the admin side, signing what we need to sign, getting access to stuff, getting acclimated. But yeah, we're all really excited to be here and to be working for the DAO. So yeah, and looking forward to answering some questions.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, let's get started. As usual, we're gonna do some noteworthy news, and then we'll get into all these different DAO related questions that we have for you guys. First thing I want to bring up is we talked about it a little bit in the last brew, but one of our long-standing community members, Lumina, had to go through some pretty expensive surgery for a tumor that he had. And there's a couple things here that I'd like to talk about. If anyone would like to support Lumina in his very expensive journey right now. So number one is Gallia Merchants actually released a Lumina beanie. So all profits that go from all the purchases on this particular beanie will go directly to Lumina, and Lumina will obviously he has a lot of hospital bills and stuff like that. So, your eyes. Yes, I know I'm blindingly white. Yes, I know. Or are you talking about white mode, or not dark mode? Maybe that. But yeah, Lumina has this beanie. It's a great beanie, and like I said, all profits will be going to Lumina. So yeah, go check it out. I'm gonna put the link in the Atlas Amphitheater chat.
Beth already posted it, Tom.
Thank you, Beth. Appreciate you, Beth. And then there's one other thing I wanted to bring up just while we're here.
Yeah, if you could
I
share
wanted
the
to
wallet
find.
as well, Dominic.
Yeah, right here. So he also, if you don't want to buy a beanie, you just want to directly donate to Lumina, I'm going to also link his wallet address right here in this tweet. Either way, you can support him with either one. You can either donate directly to his wallet address, or you can buy a beanie and support him. Like I said, Lumina has been a Star Atlas community member since the very beginning. So we definitely want to support him, and we wish it. We wish him the best of luck. We have a lot of love for Lumina, and I'm sure everyone in the audience on stage feels the exact same way. So yeah, Lumina, we're rooting for you. We're rooting for you. Anyways, yeah, go check it out.
I'm buying a beanie right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And then what's
it's
up?
possible to sell out. We should make that happen.
Oh, 100%. Oh, yeah. Clear. Yeah, I agree. Another thing we want to bring up is the Golden Carnival. So we've been doing a lot of teasing of the Golden Carnival. I mean, we talked about it at the Impact Summit. We also posted the Golden Ticket recipe. So we want to give a little bit of details. We're not going to give a date or anything like that, but we do have the Golden Carnival coming very soon. It's going to be 16 weeks, and they're going to be different themed weeks on the different ship manufacturers. So, for example, I'll give you one of the weeks. One of the weeks is going to be Fimble, and another week is going to be around Pierce. So there are going to be ship manufactured theme weeks, and there's also going to be mega weeks that are community voted. There will be an elevated prize pool for the community voted weeks. So we're putting a lot of thought into the Golden Carnival. It's going to be a really, really, really fun time. I'm actually very excited for this year's Golden Carnival. Last year was really fun. I don't know how many of you in the audience or even on stage joined those Golden Carnival drawings, but they were really fun. Oh my god, we had some really priceless reactions in there, and it was really, really fun. But yeah. So I think we're good on the noteworthy news, and I wanna start getting into the DAO related questions. So I guess actually, is Dan Park on the stage? Does Dan Park also wanna join up here on the stage? Because I know Dan was going to join us.
Hello.
Dan, there we are. Dan, how you doing?
Hey. Good.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dan.
No, I don't want to steal the discussion thunder from our illustrious council members, but yeah, no, we had a great first meeting. I'm sure they'll have a lot they want to discuss about the DAO. I'm here to answer any questions if there are some, but otherwise, I think it was a pretty productive call. There's a lot of work ahead. I think there's a lot of messages I need to make my way through today from the council. They're already very busy. No, it's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Good to be here.
So I guess we'll kind of get started. So I want to talk about firstly, kind of maybe like the structure of the Discord. So you guys have a lot of control, actually complete control over the governance category in the Discord, and I kind of want to start there. What have you guys been doing with the Discord structure specifically, and kind of what are your thoughts around that? Just so the community has maybe a more complete understanding of where we're at and where we're going with that Discord structure and what you guys plan on doing. We could start anywhere. If anyone wants to unmute, we could start.
Yeah, sure. I can take this, I guess, or at least I can start. So what we've been doing is we've made sure that a few of the channels that were missing a lovely icon at the front now have an icon at the front. This was the highlight for sure of last week. No, in all seriousness, we added a new forum channel for us to be able to really have a more structured discussion in text, because it's very difficult for us to meet in real life. Well, not in real life, sorry, but even on a voice channel all at the same time. We need to have structured conversation. So we have a forum channel that has, 15 or so threads meanwhile. We added a voice channel. That's the last edition, so that we're also able to actually have voice conversations. I hope that one at least is visible for everybody. It's called Council Office. It's at the very bottom of the DAO section. If not, then let somebody know, because it should be visible. The idea is that is for us to talk and for anybody who wants to listen. Whenever we just jump on it, whenever we feel like it, it's basically there so that when somebody here is doing some chores or doing some work on behalf of the council, we can just jump in there. And if anybody else around, another council member or whoever, can just jump in there and potentially have some discussions, do some live discussions while at it. And yeah, it's the intent here the community can listen in. And that's actually the other thing that we're still talking about. We would also like to somehow make our text discussions more visible. So we're currently still going over, but because besides the forum channel, we also have something called Council Chambers, which is a regular text channel. Now we're looking into where we did or did not or will and won't discuss NDA specific things, and then see what we can make available also for more read-only basis. Because as we have said also during the elections, we like to be as transparent as possible. So we like to share as much as possible, at least to the extent that it doesn't make things unworkable for us. So I think those are two things. I may have missed some stuff, Brian, but also somebody else can probably take it over or add some light to this.
Yeah,
I'll chime in on the kind of the read-only aspect. So we want, because we're doing a lot of work, but it looks like it. So one of the things is it looks like we're not doing any work because you can't see what we're doing. Like that's come up in the DAO chat. Signal likes to ask what's happening. So part of that is increasing our transparency, and one of those obvious things, which I've learned from the Solana Foundation and the Solana Labs, is they have a lot of read-only channels where the engineers literally talk about Solana and mainnet and on read-only, and it's pretty successful. So potentially we can bring that here as well, so you see what we're doing. But there's two things that is kind of in opposition. So one, when everything is public, you tend to get less crazy ideas, less creativity, because if somebody's going to show up in the DAO chat and if I say something like off the wall, they're like, oh my god, Brian's going to try and take over the DAO. So there's we need to kind of balance that with having creativity and being able to be open, because they're just ideas, right? It's not necessarily set in stone. So that's one of the oppositions to that. And then there's the NDA stuff, which is we have to make sure we don't say anything that shouldn't go out because we'll violate NDA. And then the third thing is it's because we're kind of implementing it halfway. We have to decide what we do with the old conversations. So a lot of things happening. Oh, and then there's another 4-1. We all need to be like in alignment on this. So we've been talking about it for a week. We're still waiting for a few people to weigh in. We need to run it by Dan to make sure that it meets all the legal requirements, potentially the foundation. So there's a lot of moving parts just to set something like read-only. So there's a lot of spinning wheels here.
And just real quick, we now have Santi here. And Santi, just so you have an understanding where we're at, we just talked about the channel structure of the governance section.
Yeah, I was just bug fixing everything. I don't know what Jose did to my internet. I don't know what he did.
Bro.
When he moved channels, everything just crashed on me. Like,
Bro,
to try
Santi played hours higher than his, bro. So I needed to teach him a lesson.
Man,
Sorry, guys.
he completely nuked my Discord. That has never happened to me before. I don't know what you did, Jose, man. But
one
it
doesn't
probably
play
was
with the cosmic current.
It's
the cosmic powers.
bro.
They're saying in the chat that it was the cosmic powers, which we're not giving Brian because he will ban everyone on the server. I'm joking.
He's actually not joking.
No, it is not joking.
I am kind of not joking, yes. But yeah, I'll let you guys keep going. I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah, I can just add real quickly. Yeah, I mean, I think Brian covered a lot of the main points that can be said there. But the only other thing to touch on that he also pointed out was, especially for a game, and kind of a cutting edge DAO, there's a lot of trade secrets in general, even if they're not always something that's specifically under NDA. If it's something that gives our Atlas or our DAO a competitive edge over others, you want to be protective of those ideas before, especially while they're cooking. And so there's a little bit of a balancing act there because we want to have this degree of transparency, but we also don't want to constantly be shooting ourselves in the foot, right? I'm familiar with a lot of other DAOs that kind of keep some things under wraps while it's in production, and then they'll bring it to the forefront whenever it's ready to be presented. So there's definitely a learning curve here where we want things to be transparent, but without stifling the ability for the council and the team to do their best job. So it's been a little bit of a discussion this first week, like you said.
Cool. Bodhi, do you have any additional thoughts, or do we want to move on to the maybe next topic of conversation here?
No, that's pretty well covered, if you ask me.
Cool. The next thing I think is really interesting to talk about, and I'm actually really excited to hear about your guys' plans for, is what kind of events is the council going to be putting on for the community? Like and also what's the frequency of these events going to be? So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on events, what you guys are thinking with it, the frequency of it. Anyone can kind of start us off if anyone wants to start.
So you remember
I'll jump in here.
4 to 6 Live? We're going to do a new one next week. No.
4 to 6 Live free.
Take it away, Brian. Take it away.
Yeah, to be honest, we've been talking about it. We haven't planned anything out yet because we've been focusing on just the initial structure and getting the pips going. Like that's kind of been the number one. Funcracker's working on the knowledge base and we're getting the database going. That's kind of, that has been kind of our number one, but also we don't know what people want. So that's part of what we're here for today, I think, to get feedback and see.
Yeah, and I guess also how frequently you guys want to be directly interact. I mean, I guess again, it's a little bit of a balancing act, right? Like if we did like open town halls where we talk to you guys, twice a week, some people might love that. Some people might get burnt out, right? And be like, okay, I don't need to talk to you guys that often. So it's kind of just striking that balance, right? Where, we want to be accessible, but I think my inclination was to have like a weekly internal meeting that's kind of behind closed doors so that we're not stifling that creativity that was brought up earlier. Having like a bi-weekly or semi-monthly town hall style, and then doing like a weekly like almost like meeting minutes, right, where we can produce a written format of what was discussed, whether that be through a read-only kind of channel like was discussed, or publishing some kind of meeting minutes. That's kind of where my head's at, but yeah, I would love to hear the community's preferences there.
Yeah, I would love to read the chat on that. I'm also like super curious on what people think out there about frequency and all that. In my personal opinion, it's to start, like you probably don't want to start with like super high frequency, because that just, you end up working more for getting to that meeting than actually setting things up. So I would love to hear what the community has to say, like if there are any expectations from policyholders.
Right, at some point we'll get more in the groove, but we're doing a lot of foundational stuff on our side right now. So yeah, once we're in the groove, it should be, of course, very easy to just do stuff more regularly. And but for now, yeah, it may be a bit more intermittent, but we'll see. But yeah, opinions, suggestions, let's hear it.
Yeah. So
one
anyone
thing to
in the
point
audience
out too is
sorry, go for it.
I think one thing to point out is that even if we're not, having these, scheduled interactions, most of us are here on the Discord or available via DM, so you can always find us in every channel. So yeah. Back to the audience. Sorry, Dom.
No. If anyone has any thoughts, basically, if anyone has any thoughts on the frequency of hearing from the council, I also have my own personal thoughts. Like I agree with Santi. It's easier. It's also easier to start off with less meetings and increase them over time, over starting off with a bunch of meetings and decreasing them over time, because there might be people who really liked it. You might upset some people, but it's always easier to actually increase those meetings. So my recommendation is just to start it off small, like Santi said. But like everyone said, if anyone has any thoughts on events, or maybe we have to develop that standard and go off of that. So we'll have to see. But I'm very interested. I am actually very interested to kind of see what kind of events you guys put on and how
P-
frequent they are.
And frequency
PG
is
posted in the
important.
chat. Oh, yeah.
Can someone, Dom? Can you read Beth's suggestion?
Best suggestion. I would like a live stream of each council member 24/7.
Brian is willing to do that, but just Brian.
Just Brian. All right, yeah. There
We
needs to
have
be like a
TV.
sleep
One council
stream.
member,
So we're
24/7.
gonna have to, we're gonna have to see you in bed. We're gonna have to see you wake up. We're gonna have to see you walk to your computer, and then we're gonna have to see you
Exactly.
also do the gymnastics things. Yeah, we're gonna have to
Oh
see all
yeah,
that.
let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see all
Hacker yoga stream.
that. Cool.
I think it'll also be easier over time as more pips start rolling in. There'll be a lot more content to share. You know,
Mhm.
early on we definitely have the foundational stuff. But some of that is kind of slow moving, and for good reason too. You know, we want to make sure that's really dialed in before we really start running with some of those concepts. But over time, you know, as we get things more streamlined, and we start getting a lot more pips rolling through, then there's just going to be an abundance of content. So that'll kind of help us pick up the cadence a little bit.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think once you guys start getting these, especially the controversial pips, especially when there's a pip that's like 50-50, half the community is like, why the hell would we pass this? And the other half is like, why wouldn't we pass this? Then I think everyone's going to be keen to exactly what you guys are thinking, and I think that's where a lot of the interest is going to come from. So I completely agree. Actually, I think once the pips start flowing in, I think there's going to be a lot of interest in hearing your guys' thoughts. So I completely agree. Does anyone else have any comments on the event side of things? Even in the audience, anyone else have any final comments before we move on? Going once, going twice.
Well, PG
So-
posted that he thinks that meetings should only happen when the council needs it, because he believes that productivity is not in the meetings, but in the other work that people can put in. So I think that's a fair point. And I think that's kind of what the council is looking to start with.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I see here indeed. They create the rules, the filters. Yeah, so that's actually all stuff we're working on. And I do agree. That's why we have not yet taken any specific pip idea and work our way through it, because there's more stuff that needs to happen before we can actually do that. But once we get there, and when we get there, yeah, there will be definitely more to share and more to do in the sense of events.
Yeah, and I think kind of in summation, it's less about looking productive and more about being productive, right? I think it's easy to fall into this cadence where like, oh, we need to look busy, but are we just doing fluff work? Are we, if we can be more productive without, I mean, not looking productive, right? But like you guys get what I'm saying. It's less about the appearances of productivity and more about actually doing it. And I think, frequency is important, but also main consideration is like what format do you guys want to be briefed in, right? Like, do you want live streams? Do you want recorded videos that you can just like throw up on YouTube and press play and listen to it while you're doing chores around your house? Do you want, written meeting notes that you can read through when you're having your morning coffee, right? Like, we need feedback also on like what format you guys want to be briefed on these things. Do you have time to actually read through a read-only channel in Discord? Like, is that going to be a part of your schedule, or is it something that you're never going to look at? So this is all important feedback so that we can cater the way that we deliver that information to you guys as well.
And I actually saw a comment, and I actually really like this frequency. And Moonmonger said weekly written summaries of key topics and one brew per month, or one of your own events per month. I think this is a pretty damn good frequency. I think it's a perfect blend of being able to be productive while also being transparent, and people being able to look forward to an event and look forward to kind of seeing what you guys are doing on a weekly basis, even if it's just something written and it's just a summary. It can be short. I think that would go a long way. For sure. And I really like what you were saying there too, JP. I think we're gonna have to figure out a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, we'll probably make it a separate event though, given the fact that, of course, one brew per month means there's only like 3 and 4 left for actual brew material. And I don't think everybody wants to hear or see us that often, but I may be mistaken, of course. Then let us for sure know. But yeah, I think having our own event makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna chime in real quick on the meetings. So meetings are actually pretty important right now because we're on 5 different time zones. And we're trying, like, because we're 5 council members, right? There's no leader, there's no king, there's no dictator, right? So we're trying to find alignment on these various topics, which means
There is
we have
king.
to corral. Yeah. So we have to get everyone. Yeah, we have to get everyone together to decide on some topics, and the meeting I think the meeting is going to be a big part of that. Because we can, we'll have our agenda, we'll have our meeting notes to like, okay, let's hammer this out because we're chatting in Discord. It's easy for us. Like, I'm sure JP comes into some of the council chats and there's like 500 messages. He can't really keep track of that. So that's why we're going to have our meetings. We're going to have our agenda. We'll go through the list, get feedback and move on. So they're actually like, yeah, they're quite important, at least right now, until we start. And then Beth mentioned who does what, right? We don't actually have that yet. Are we even going to do that? Do we want to assign one person to the Twitter? Do we want to assign one person to the knowledge base? Or do we want multiple people? Because, yeah, all of that is still in the works. Like, it is when we say we're starting from scratch, literally everything. We don't even know where the bathroom is. But actually,
somebody should tell us. Somebody should tell us.
I like that one. I like that one a lot. Okay. Okay. I want to move on to a conversation about pips too, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on what kind of pips, and just kind of like this is for the audience. What kind of pips are we currently accepting? I'd also be really interested in hearing kind of what kind of pips you guys are expecting, and then what kind of pips you guys would like to see. If anyone can start on that one, I think actually it not only is that informational. Oh my god, it's also really interesting.
Something that's it's not exactly on topic, but something that PG just brought up is he was talking about the pips that have already been introduced, and he was asking how we're gonna handle those. Are we gonna kind of reintroduce those pips in a better format and kind of wipe the slate clean on a lot of the activity that's gone there, kind of clean things up as far as the stuff that's already there, and get rid of all the kind of Dom eats a sock type pips. And so I mean we do already kind of have a good batch there, so yeah, it's something worth considering. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
So first, we're not deleting any pips. They are there forever. If you wrote Dom eat a sock, then that is going to be there forever. Like, this is history, right? Like, we don't have the power to delete pips or pips that are in the making, because that's censorship, and that's not something that we would do, right? So that's we haven't discussed this, but my opinion that I would, maybe this will come up in the next council is no, we're not deleting any pips. Because it's also not our job to determine if they're jokes or not, right? We have the Star Atlas, the PIP number 3, which is the Star Atlas Fund, plus PIPs, which can actually be done for our guidelines. So if you meet all those guidelines, if you put a PIP together that says Dom eats a sock and you have a header and you meet all those requirements, then technically that could go to a vote. We're not here to judge that. Maybe Glenn or Dan would veto it as part of their foundation powers because you can't force another party to do something. But so that's kind of the idea of the pips. They're permanent. It's part of history. We're not deleting anything. And then going to Dom's question about what kind of pips we want to see, we're not necessarily in consensus on this. So this is my thoughts, but I want to see pips that encourage content creators. I would love for content creators to get paid from the Star Atlas Fund. They're out there doing God's work. I visited Neo's stream. It was a Portuguese stream on Twitch last night. They were doing marble chasing. There's like 30 community members. That is like bringing people together. Love it. I think they were giving out like 100 Atlas for winners. Love to see that number go up. So any pips for content creators is top of my list. Second would be devs, community support. Love to see some getting some guilds involved. Guys, like guilds are the life of Star Atlas right now. We're on a guild and we haven't seen any guild centered pips. So love to see those as well.
Yeah, a lot of good thoughts there.
I guess on the topic of closing, deleting pips, that's indeed not what we want to do. What I do like a lot is, and I think we talked about this perhaps internally as well, but is what they. So I'm a developer. For those of you also developer who know Gitbook, there's often if you make a pull request somewhere or like an issue, it goes stale because nobody's responding for like 3 weeks, then it automatically gets closed, not removed, but just like removed from at least your face when you enter that channel. So it's still there. You have to look for it, however. I mean, something like that would be for sure interesting. But other than that, all the ideas that so far have been created, I would actually just like to go over them and just give them a. I mean, so what we want to do, and as PG also referred to, like have a set of rules that pips need to adhere to in order for them to be able to progress to the next stage. And just even if they're ridiculous, then we can just still there should be something on our list that says no, this cannot progress this way. So just first fine tune, like roughly create the list also based on those pips, and just tell them, oh, this can't happen because even if it's a ridiculous one, like don't make Dom eat a sock. Is Dom in agreement with this? No? Well, then it's very simple. It cannot progress. You cannot mandate people to do something what they don't want to do. So yeah, we'll just go over that as far as I'm concerned. And then if nobody responds after, I would prefer if we can like hide them, I guess. So not delete them, hide them from the public eye, so the channel stays somewhat clean. And I'm not sure how we do that yet, but we'll hopefully figure out a way.
Yeah, that's a good
sorry. And on
the
no, go ahead, Bodhi.
I was just saying that's a good distinction to make between like archiving and filtering pips, because everyone knows, we are here to to filter pips and to kind of categorize them and like you said, create those systems that can kind of push the ones that need to be pushed up to the forefront into that place. So but that it is an important distinction to make between that and archiving or the difference between that and deleting them.
And so Sasquatch actually has a question, and it is, should there not be a process though, and pips that don't make the cut, get archived or whatever else? Should there not be a process of determining that?
Yeah, that's basically what I'm proposing or suggesting, that's indeed how we solve this. But not so much deleting. There should not be any deleting of posts or topics. Preferably not. If that's somehow the only way and people are going to complain because there's 1,000 things in their face and they want to, if the community wants, then perhaps we can do that. But we probably will not do that just from ourselves. I don't see that happen.
100% agree with Funcracker on that. We are mandated by the pips. So a lot of these pips, they will be automatically filtered because people are putting up joke pips and they're not putting up headers or reasoning. And those are hard requirements, right? All the pips have to have a header and a few other like mandatory. And most, I would say a lot of the pips are just missing that. So those will get sent back to the authors to update, and then they can choose to update. And at that point, we can have some sort of archiving after 30 days. But if there's getting too much, that has to go back to the post holders to put in a process because that is more censorship, right? So we need to be careful with that. Do we want to make that decision? Are we placing judgment as counselors on what needs to be filtered and what doesn't need to be filtered? So we have to be really careful with that. That's why I like the more formulaic approach. If Dom's pip has the correct headers, well, it probably would get rejected because you can't force somebody to do something as part of your pip. You can't put forward a pip and then say, "Hey, I'm going to give $1,000 if VB does something or Dom does something or Groove does a pip." Right? We're looking for Groove to build. If he wants to build something, he needs to put the pip forward. So that's a pretty big, huge issue. Like we're not forcing anyone to do anything.
We have a question here from Icy. So you guys aren't going to review the pip by creation date. You're instead going to filter it by the person creating it. I don't know if I think someone said something. I don't remember anyone saying that, but I couldn't.
Yeah, I don't remember anybody saying that.
I'm not sure where that comes from. No, that's not how we're going to do it.
The point
I'd probably be
is that it would be
I'm
engagement.
so I'm
not-
entering these pips into the database, and it's going by creation date. That's what's happening.
Cool. And then another question coming in from from VB is: have you guys made up any rules for council members yet, like no shows, not participating, misbehaving, etc.? I think that's a pretty interesting question.
Well, not misbehaving. No shows, not so much rules just yet. I mean, it's a bit quick in the first meeting where everybody was attending to start talking about, well, what if you cannot attend for, I know, 3 weeks in a row? No, not so much. I mean, we were just it's very difficult to get together given our time zones. It's really pretty insane. There's like every day of the week, there's like a 2-hour period where we could potentially meet if all 5 of us have our schedule cleared. Outside of 2 hours, people are just simply asleep. It's just nighttime somewhere. And of course, if you have so let's say 14 hours potential, in my case, always in my evening. Some evenings, of course, I do other stuff. For some people, it's during the day, but they are just working or have meetings at work. So we just decided we just figured how can we help people who cannot attend? Not so much punish them or send them away, but help them. Like, can somebody record? Is that how you're going to solve it? And who's going to record it? And what would that sort of stuff. So we have not yet gone to the unhappy flow. We're trying to fix the happy flow first.
Cool. Anyone else have any thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I'll chime in because Emperor asked a similar question. What are the thoughts from the council about creating a values list to guide decisions? At this point, we're trying not to put our values on the pips, right? It's more formulaic and leaving those decisions up to the polls holders. But I actually have this on I have a list of DAO ideas, pips, that we should have a guiding principle for Galleons, for Star Atlas as a community, individually as part of the DAO. What do we want to represent to the world as Galleons? That's on Impact Summit, and I think VB started a pip for that. So I would say that community guidelines as Galleons is probably, that would be a good thing to have, and I would completely support that as a pulse holder. So go check out VB's pip if you haven't seen it yet.
And then Emperor said not individual values, but a collective values list.
Yep, exactly. Yep, that Galleon values is for everyone.
So I actually have a controversial comment here that I think I think would be really interesting to hear you guys' thoughts. And this is from Agent Sauce. He's basically saying he thinks that the funds in the treasury of the DAO should be spent on the game and only the game. And anything else is just kind of wasting money at this point, because I guess let me read his actual comment. I don't want to misrepresent him, but he said, the more money in the DAO, the bigger it snowballs. We need DAO funds for the future of the game, or to speed up the process or make the game better. I don't think we should be spending DAO money on anything besides building the game right now. I have my own thoughts here about building up creators and guilds and the hackathons and building up the ecosystem. But I'm interested in your guys' thoughts on this specific comment, because this seems like one of those topics of conversation that a lot of people are going to have different opinions on. So I'm definitely interested from the council's point of view on what you guys think.
Yeah, something to consider. Oh, go ahead, Funkirker. I'll go after you.
Oh, well, I'll keep it short then. So I completely get that viewpoint. I completely get the sentiment behind it. It makes a lot of sense at face value. So I understand that. I don't necessarily agree, but I do think, but it's really up to you guys and not so much up to us, that we have to be very careful with who we allot money. So if there's just a good proposal that we feel together as a collective, and I don't mean council, I mean the DAO, all of you, that this makes sense, then sure, then that's exactly what the ecosystem fund has been set up for. If we think there's something that will positively influence user engagement or drive adoption or whatever, then I think that makes a lot of sense to do. I would, however, limit the amount of funds we can use for that. And hey, it so happens that has actually already occurred. PIP4, of course, did limit the funds for that to 20% of the treasury. Still, let's not go crazy. I agree, but I also do feel there's been a lot of attrition over the last few years. Of course, in people gaming and people being here and people building stuff. That it would not be so strange to give the people building stuff that's really valuable to the ecosystem to reward them and make sure that they actually do stay and not just disappear in 3, 4, 5 months because, attrition, it's not really picking up speed or whatever. So you don't want to restart all the time. You want to keep people in the ecosystem that are valuable. And I think that's what we can definitely use the ecosystem fund for.
Bodhi, did you have thoughts?
Not so short, sorry.
It's all good. I think most of us are pretty in agreement on taking a conservative approach towards the DAO fund, especially being this early and the DAO is still relatively small. That said, there are a couple things I could think of just off the top of my head that aren't exactly game related, but they do provide a lot of value in like even just in a marketing sense. For example, content creators, different types of events. So I think that there's a couple things that it's not directly aimed at the game, but it can kind of have a similar impact, something that you would build for the game. And something else that to consider. I know it's kind of a hot topic, and I know a lot of people don't like. I'm personally I'm a big speculator on the markets, and something that I know a lot of people want to be kind of timing agnostic or cycle agnostic, but the fact that we hold both Atlas and USDC also kind of provides a dynamic type of situation where, if you're a little bit more conservative with Atlas, when you're in a downtime, then that might actually there might be a big benefit there when the prices increase. So that's something to consider as well, is what you're spending and when you're spending it. And then when things are pumping, that's a lot. It's an easier time to justify. Okay, hey, things are up. We should be spending some of this Atlas and build some things. Be a little bit more liberal with the spending.
I have some thoughts on this topic as well, from the team side. Like what we have seen in the Stratus ecosystem and what we saw so far is that the people who add value to others, the people who are creating value to others in this ecosystem, and it's usually like that when you're bootstrapping an ecosystem, right? But all the people that are here that are focused on creating value for others inside Star Atlas, they're doing it either for fun, for the love of the project, or because they just have extra time or whatever. But nobody's actually having any direct monetary benefit from getting new people in, or from creating the content, or from anything else. Like, people are putting their souls into the project. Like, there's a lot of people that are putting more than 8 hours per day into Star Atlas without any reward or without any incentives or without any support. So something that we need to look at is how the DAO collaborates together with Automata in bootstrapping the ecosystem as a whole. Like, how does the DAO make sure that the content creators that we have in the ecosystem are supported via the community side of things? And how does Automata make sure that we fix things like StarPath to actually make it work for guilds that onboard new people, for content creators that bring new people in and that keep people informed? Like, I think there's a lot of value in using those funds right now from the DAO to help bootstrap the ecosystem. And as Funkcracker was saying, make sure that people can keep building things and they don't leave just because there's no monetary incentive. At first, when we start developing something in an ecosystem that is so early, you can't expect to make money the second right after. Like, that's not going to work. But maybe if the DAO has, well, now the DAO literally has an ecosystem fund that will allow you to pitch to the whole community your idea. And if your idea is going to bring value to the ecosystem, you don't need to put money from your own pocket in to start developing on top of Star Atlas. And I don't think people realize how huge that is. That's massive. Like, you can support entrepreneurs from the DAO treasury and get people that will make an actual impact in the ecosystem and that will make it more fun for you to play Sage. It will make it easier for you to play Star Atlas and everything else. So I think with that, the alarm clock sounded to make me stop talking.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to get that in, like from our side. Like, I've been in the community since the beginning, and I know how hard it is. I talk to the people developing things on top, and I know that the first thing they do whenever they add value to the ecosystem is, oh, now I will need to pay this. Now I will need to pay that. Now I need to host the servers here. Like, just with some money that the DAO can provide, it goes such a long way for so many people, like very talented people. So I do believe that there is an opportunity to use the funds right now and for them to be impactful.
I agree with Santi here. I think there's nothing stronger than someone who is passionate and that has the means to exert its passion, you know? I feel like lots of people here who are very talented would love to live and dedicate their lives to Star Atlas. And the DAO is one of the vessels that we can enable this kind of situation. So this is a win-win situation where we have passionate people using their talents for Star Atlas. That's like the best combo we can get. If we can enable passionate people to dedicate themselves and their talents to Star Atlas, that's massive. It's priceless for me. Like, there's nothing else that competes with this in terms of investment for our ecosystem.
I think this is a good segue that is from hearing from Santi and Jose about this is we don't actually know, like, as a council, we're not experts in knowing what actions or even community members are the most valuable, right? So spending money on, say, marketing versus spending money on devs, what is that actually, how much money, what are we going to get from it, right? How do you measure a return on that value spent versus giving it to Automata? And something that's come up in the council in our meeting last week and through our chats is that right now the DAO is not quite big enough to hire its own people to, like, do marketing or to do fund analysis. So a lot of the roles are being delegated from the foundation back to Automata. So we have the opportunity to leverage Automata without technically paying them right now. So, you know, right now we're leveraging Dom, Jose, Santi, we're getting their knowledge. I would like to, you know, leverage Francesca to find out, you know, what's the best bang for our buck, because that's really what we want to do is spend the money where we're going to get the best value. And we have a huge opportunity with using Automata right now, and it's the more that I'm involved here, the more I'm seeing the value, you know, from the inside on just exactly what they're doing for the DAO, setting us up for, you know, future independence and decentralization. And we're just getting a lot of just gigabrains on this project for free right now. So we're just gonna use them until we can't anymore. So it's fantastic. In a great way, not just like using you to, like, you know, just throw you to the curb, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. We're not using you. We're going in this together.
use us and abuse us. It's all good. All right. Another.
Dragon
I think
another. Let's go. Sorry, I'm gonna shout out. She's here.
Shout out Dragon.
Hello,
Francesca.
Francesca. Let's go.
I think another interesting question here is, you know, every time I'm hearing about DAOs, usually one of the topics of conversation is the lack of participation. So I'm interested in your guys' thoughts on what you guys have in mind, if anything, to kind of make sure that the participation rate remains high, because we actually have a pretty high participation rate right now. And how are you guys gonna maintain that, or maybe even elevate that? I'm curious if you guys have any thoughts on that for sure.
I'm gonna jump in real quick.
In this case, you mean voting and not so much creating pips, right? Or both?
I'd like your thoughts on both. Yeah.
Sorry, Brian, you wanted to comment.
Yeah. So I'll just make a quick comment, and that's on the visibility. So right now, it looks like we have a low participation because, and Funkhark and I have been having conversations about this, is we need to change the way it's presented because Automata is not voting with its own polis, the team polis, and there's a lot of locked polis as well. So it looks like, we only had 30% participation, but really it's like 70% participation. So we're working on finding a suitable presentation to show what polis is actually available to be voted with. And I think that's going to change the perception because right now it's like, we have low participation, but actually we have like massive participation. So we're working on how to show that, still be transparent, but make sure that everyone knows what's actually happening, not just saying, 30%.
Yeah, I think on the so with regards to creating proposals, of course, as we mentioned before, there's a lot of information scattered over a bunch of pips, Medium posts, and in Discord that we want to bundle and also add a lot to from our own. To really streamline the process and make it especially clear to everybody what's expected, have some template proposals, have the rules published all in one place, which is our upcoming knowledge base. I don't necessarily think, I know people have been talking in the past, I think also during our debates, like if we're going to seed ideas and help people with ideas, but it's, perhaps, but I don't really think that's necessarily our role. And again, I do get on the Agent Solus's point, we don't necessarily want to encourage people to just like pull out all the funds necessarily either. So I'm not that sure how we're going to do that exactly or to which extent. But for me, most importantly, we just have to be super transparent and clear how the process is working, make it very visible to people, have the rules very visible, be active in the PIP channels to let people know what's up and help them get their PIP through the process. And I hope that is enough on that side. And as to participation in voting, that's a good question. We have not necessarily, beyond what Brian was just mentioning, we have not necessarily gone over like, did we not broadcast the pips being live enough? Is that why perhaps some of the pips had less participation than others? I know there was like a dip in the middle, like the first two and the last two had crazy participation, but the two in between, not so much, or the three in between. So we haven't really analyzed that, and I'm not sure. As mentioned in the beginning, like we're looking for our own Twitter channel, and we have more access now to Discord channels here as well. So we'll do our very best to make it very clear when a pip is going to go live and is live and keep people posted, and hopefully that will work. Other than that, very much open to any and all suggestions from anybody how we can potentially, of course, increase participation on that front.
Anyone else have any thoughts before we move on? Okay.
Emperor super vague.
Emperor does have a question here, and it's how do you guys foresee helping to narrow down whether a pip is good? We did talk about this a little bit, but if anyone has any additional thoughts, just because we have a question in the chat.
Yeah, we're not really here to pass judgment on the pips. So there is, the Star Atlas Fund, which has requirements for pips, which is pretty clear cut. If you're following all those, then there's not really judgment to be placed. So if something is falling outside of the Star Atlas Fund, then there is some also hard requirements. Again, we can't really pass judgment on that. The foundation can, because some things are legal requirements they can actually do. So those could get rejected, like, if it's against the law and in some areas that they might say no, but otherwise it's going to go to the polis holders. And this goes in, so there is that aspect, but then this goes into the last question too, is voters can get, if there's too many pips, they may lose interest, right? If the pips aren't interesting, they may lose interest. So we may need to do something about that, but again, that's up to the polis holders as well to, give additional guidelines on what's good. Ultimately, the polis holders should be voting on whether something is good or not. We're helping make sure that they fit a rubric.
Yeah, I'm always comparing this to the Apple or just any App Store review process. Like there should just be clear rules, clear guidelines. They should be published, and we should just be able to say, so this doesn't work because this conflicts with section 13.2. I mean, perhaps not as cut and dry as that, but right, that you should be able to just look it up, and it should not be a surprise to you. There could be some argument like, yeah, I don't think that's actually right because right. Sure, then we can have a discussion, and that's of course what we're here for. But it should be relatively cut and clear what's happening. And good doesn't really play into it. Good means it's well structured, it's well formatted, and it contains all the data that needs to be in there. And then it's up to the DAO to vote and make their voice heard.
Something that may come up is this happened with the Solana Foundation quite a bit. Is let's say you have 10 pips that are ready to go. So this is where this is more like internal thinking. Which one goes up first? Is the council allowed to exercise judgment on which one goes up to the foundation? So that we have to be aware of. There can be some bias in that, and that is where transparency will help. We'll say which one goes up first, which one doesn't, if one needs to be accelerated or not. Other than that, not a whole lot of judgment.
Sasquatch, I've seen a couple comments about filtering, and so Sasquatch just kind of in that bucket of filtering questions and suggestions. He said, why not come up with 4 or 5 different categories that you would try to fit every pip into? And examples could be increased DAO treasury. Number 2 would be fund developers. Number 3 would be fund content creators. Number 4 would be DAO pip structure, and maybe another like a 5th one would be like game updates or game balancing or something along those lines. I think you guys get the idea, but like filtering it that way. Do you guys have any like thoughts on filtering, just making it easy to like understand, like kind of just from a glimpse at like what pips maybe someone would be interested in? I think it's actually a pretty fair comment and suggestion, just for people who don't want to read through every single pip. Maybe they feel strongly about game balancing pips instead of like just the ecosystem creation and content creator pips. Like someone who's maybe like really into esports or competitive and they really like playing Surge, it would help them easily identify that a Surge pip or maybe like a game balance pip is actually in the kind of running for pips to be voted on. So I think it's a decent suggestion. So I definitely
this is actually not this is a great idea. 100%. It would be even better if we could even show that perhaps also on the website, of course, where the pips are actually hosted, the way you're voting. But we can for sure at least make that clear in our overview on the knowledge base. We can make it hopefully clear here on Discord. And it's actually interesting because this ties literally also into the whole notion that different kind of proposals need different kind of information. So, I mean, if you're going to, well, that's just too, well, I mean, some examples that we had, like there's different things, right? You want to fund a piece of software. Then there's a whole bunch of things that are important and that are currently missing in the structure. Like, cool, so you're building it, who is hosting it, who is maintaining it? If we pay you this money, how long are you going to keep it online? And all that sort of stuff, for example. I mean, now perhaps I go a bit too detailed, but there's a different set of questions than if you want to give somebody a one-time reward for doing a one-time thing, or if you want to have a working group funded that's going to maintain like a wiki, for example, that VB once suggested. They're all different things, and they likely need a slightly different structure and need to be, I want to say, judged. Well, let's just use that word, based on different criteria. So yeah, I mean, this fits potentially great also with this categorization. So love it. Let's do it if we can.
I actually wrote it down. Yeah, I wrote it down. It's a great idea. So yeah, adding into the database. Why not? We'll have a category. It's a great idea, and you can filter it. Perfect.
Cool.
We love these ideas. Like if it's visibility, if it helps, the flow, great.
Cool.
I will add too. Drum is in the audience, but he's definitely working on rubrics for these different things. He's on a plane right now, so he can't talk. But he's definitely working on rubrics. I would say he's quite passionate about that. So there will be some rubrics.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That was
kind of two more questions. No, that's fine. It's there's one question in the chat, and then I also have another question from us. The question in the chat, and this might could get a little spicy here. I know there might be some differing opinions, which could be interesting. Do the council members think council members should get paid? And if so, what allocation should the council get?
Or
I'll jump in
I would
here.
almost say, can we postpone that until the next elections, because that's not really relevant for the current council, to be honest. We've gone into that in our debates, and spent enough time on discussing that so far, I would say. But okay, Brian, let's say something on this topic.
So, I mean, it can be relevant because if the future council getting paid, then you can get back pay as well. But just last week, I put in 15 hours, and I know Funcrackers probably put in just as much. And I'm having to balance, my real job, my Star Atlas job, my council job, Solana job, and this we're not getting paid here, right? And so if I could, this is what I think Jose was talking about earlier. If I could quit my tax job and come do this full time, if there was even some salary, I could do that, right? And then we would have had a rubric last week. So there is some value to getting paid for a job, because then you have more time, right? You're getting rid of something else to do this thing. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things I'm most excited to work on. I think it's pretty fundamental. I didn't consider the back pay concept, but certainly something to get dialed in before the next election. So I think people should introduce their pips, especially I'm really excited about these pips regarding these fundamental aspects of council structure. And let's figure it out.
Cool. IC has a question. Oh, sorry, go for it, JP.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they said it perfectly. I mean, I said my piece on this during the debate as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that it should be worked out prior to the end of this term. But would be curious to see pips regarding this. I think there's a good argument on both sides of it, whether it's the value accrual of someone's time and how much, what kind of return you get on that person's time by allowing them to focus more on this. I think it's all worth discussing, but yeah, we can move on. I think it's just something that we're going to continue to discuss and sort by the end of the term.
Mm-hmm. I just saw PG make a comment, and then Santi replied to it, and I think it's really important to emphasize this. But PG said, "I need to get paid, get some kind of payment for Star Seekers, Atlas Mission Run, Atlas Faction, because there was interest. Make a pip. Like, seriously, make a pip. If you want to get funded for a project that you want to create or that you did create, just make a pip. You could do that. You literally can do that. And that is what we're here to do. One of the things that we're here to do. So please, if you like I said, if you have a project you want to work on that you don't have the funding for, or you made a project and you'd like some funding to keep it going, or whatever it is, make a pip. Make a pip. Get your voice in, have people vote on it, and if the community thinks it's valuable, if the council thinks it's valuable, then it'll go through. And
Pip it and ship it.
Pip it and ship it, man. Pip it and ship it. I love that. I love that so much. Okay. All right. Let's do one more question from the audience, and then our question, and I think we can kind of end here. So IC was saying, how would you guys handle if a pip passes without a major conflict of interest being identified, and later it was discovered? That one's a little spicy.
Well, so it's up to the foundation, or in this case, the director, Glenn, to of course give his final say on any pip, even after it has passed. So if there is a conflict, then he's able to still stop the pip from moving forward. If you're talking about the pip has already moved forward, it was implemented, and then we figure something out, that's a very good question. I think at this point in time, Glenn may still have the power to put a stop to that. And that may be best, so that we don't have to go through a new pip, because that has to be then sped run and maybe complicated. We may not get the quorum, etc. So I think that's how. But that's a good question, actually. If it happens after implementation, I think that Glenn, or if it's the team that's in control, then the team will just not do it. Yeah. That's
Maybe this is a good time for our guest star appearance from Dan Park. Dan,
Dan.
do you
Yeah,
have
that's
any?
a good one.
Dan, do you have any thoughts on that question here being
Yeah,
if
I
if
think
the
it's going to be one of those
pass?
like we'll just have to deal with it as it arises. Probably going to be context specific, like how far along the project is, how big a deal the conflict is. Can it be remedied in some other ways? And like as the DAO is more mature over time, it might have its own sort of like dispute resolution processes. These are all kind of further down the road. I really hope we don't have to deal with that early on because that can be extremely challenging. But hopefully, it is a problem that we'll have to deal with eventually, and hopefully have more like formal processes. But right now, I think it'll be more kind of judgment call from the foundation.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you. Okay, two more things. Last question here is, if someone does have an idea and they want to reach out to you guys, what's the best way of reaching out to you guys and getting your guys' thoughts on something?
So there is the council member Discord tag, so you can use that and reach all of us in one go. I think we have not talked about this, but I guess just using the DAO discussion channel, the DAO chat channel, and just tagging us that way would probably be the best way to go at it. Of course, you're also more welcome to just tag one of us if you see that we're available or online. That at least saves bothering everybody in one go. But yeah, would be my suggestion, and very much encourage you also to do that. So any and all ideas, we're very much open to those.
Yeah, certainly be careful if you do decide to DM us. That council tag is a really good way to avoid tagging an or DMing an imposter on accident and getting scammed. So it's pretty high up there on the list of tags, so it should be pretty easy to find us and just DM us directly. Make sure you guys go through that. Make sure you do your due diligence if you're going to DM us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Seriously. And that goes for, honestly, that's just general advice. If you are DMing someone from the community, there are people who impersonate community members and to make it look more real. So make sure that if you have a history of talking to this person, make sure there's text history. Make sure you're looking at the creation of the Discord when the Discord was created. Make sure you're looking specifically at the of the person. So there's a username that they have. Make sure it's an accurate one and it's not using like a 0 instead of an O. Just the best practices. Just in general, use all that kind of stuff. Please be safe with everything you're doing when you're DMing anyone. Especially from the Star Atlas community, anything in crypto, be safe. Yeah, your name is Dominic Vane with a 0 instead of an O, yeah. Sorry, Brian, did you have something before we move on?
I was gonna also agree. Use the DAO chat. If you are super uncomfortable then with your idea, you don't want to make it public. I suppose you could DM us, but then because my DMs are open, but of course you have to listen to everything Dom just said, and Funcracker and Bodhi when you're going to DM us. Make sure you're not DMing the wrong person. And I would say that we'll never DM you guys directly about governance issues. So I would 99% use the channel.
Cool. And the last thing, and Ronald, I'd love for you to speak on this, is the image that you created. Do you want to talk a little bit about this while we kind of end it off?
Yeah, so as I'm primarily currently working on compiling information for the knowledge base, of course, an image says a lot more than a whole bunch of text. So this is a very rudimentary sketch I made. This is not meant for, let's say, final consumption, but just to get an idea of, to make it visually more clear how the DAO ecosystem looks like. So most of you will know that there are 3 layers in the DAO, and the one that's currently live and we're talking about is the top layer, the Atlas DAO, for the whole ecosystem. And then, of course, there will be the 3 faction DAOs, and then there will be regional DAOs within those 3 factions. So this doesn't look like anything, I'm aware, and I also know there's already an older image from the team from 2022 that gets close to this. But the idea is to refine this and get all the current relevant information in here, and then perhaps ask somebody who's like a wizard with design skills who has been recently hired by the team to make a nice looking infographic out of this.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Ronald. All right, guys. I think we're good to end it here. I wanna thank you guys all for joining us today. I know it is not easy, especially with all the different time zones, and I even just looking at your guys' chat, just seeing how you guys are trying your best to get your time zones in order and meeting each other. So I do appreciate everyone joining us today, and answering questions from the community and answering our questions and just talking about the DAO and what you guys are doing in the background and just some thoughts on things going forward. So genuinely appreciate it, guys. I just maybe just if you guys have anything closing, I do want to give you guys maybe like a little bit just to say something. If you guys want to say something, don't feel like you have to. But Brian, thank you for joining. Anything you wanna say to cap us off here?
Got a lot of great things cooking. Potentially, we'll have the meeting notes being released today or tomorrow if we get if we get approved. So that'll be the meeting notes from last week. I think there'll be some cool stuff in there, and looking forward to the future.
Cool, love it, Ronald.
Yeah, no, love doing this, and hope we can do this more often or have our own events in the future, as we talked about today. Currently very busy with the knowledge base, and we'll try to make it available as soon as possible. So any and all ideas, as I mentioned before, please do reach out, let us know. If you have any ideas for a PIP, then get cranking and get working on those. We'll get the guidelines and everything out ASAP, but yeah, then it would be, of course, be optimal or cool to just see people posting pips right after. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Cool. JP?
Yeah, no, I think it's mostly been said. I really appreciate all the support from everyone. We're really excited to work, and yeah, just looking forward to a successful and action-packed term. So thank you guys all again.
Love it. Last but not least, Bodie.
Yeah, thanks for everybody for having me and showing up. I'll just touch on a couple things that we talked about over the last week. We didn't have enough time to get to everything here, but stuff you can expect more details on in the coming weeks. But we talked about a Twitter for the DAO. We also were touching on there was quite a lot of small things like different subscriptions that might help us, like with scheduling or getting content out to people, and how we might be able to leverage the foundation funds for that. Little things, $25 a month subscription stuff. So those are some things that like I said, we didn't get to touch on, but we'll be able to get you guys some more information on how that's going here shortly.
Thank you, Bodie. Thank you, brother. Santi, Jose, my wonderful co-hosts. Anything you guys want to end off on?
Yeah, just super happy to have the council already elected, and these guys. I just want to say that we've been working a lot behind the scenes, and these guys are taking it super serious and putting in the hours, setting everything up for the long-term success of the DAO. And we couldn't have hoped for a better group than this, honestly. Lots of expertise from different sides, and again, all of them are doing a fantastic job. Again, not getting paid and putting the hours in just because they want to see the ecosystem succeed. So shout out to them. And also, I wanted to say to the people out there to not be afraid of posting pips, of creating pips. We want to see from Automata, from the DAO, we want to see people being rewarded for the work they put in and helping bootstrap the ecosystem as a whole. So take advantage of the opportunity and don't be afraid.
And something, Santi, really quick, because I just saw it in the chat. And it's something we didn't talk about because you were having some issues. But do we want to say anything about Never Alone?
Yeah. I thought you guys talked about it, but yeah,
No.
we're looking to close Never Alone before the end of the year. So expect a couple more missions for Mission 3, a couple more quests, for Mission 3. It will end in Mission 3. Never Alone will end in Mission 3. and we're not going to have the guild competition. I just want to be clear with that. We'll post a formal announcement about it, but you will be getting all the rewards will still be the same at the end of year, and the mission rewards you will be able to exchange them. Just that we're not going for missions or the guild missions, but you will be able to get your Puri if you have the memories that you need for Puri. You will be able to get sand and all the rest of the rewards. So hoping to close that before the end of year, and looking to relaunch not Never Alone, but something cooler for the community. We want you guys to be rewarded with cool, exclusive things for being really active and joining all events and just being every day with us. So that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Santi. Sorry for putting you on the spot like that.
All good, bro. It's not like I don't think about this every day.
Jose?
My boy was ready. No, just saying that this was a great brew. I loved hearing firsthand from the council members where are their hearts right now regarding the DAO activity. And yeah, good luck to this council. I'm expecting great things from you. So is the community. So let's get started. Let's get work done.
Love it. Love it. All right, guys. Well, this has been Atlas Brew number 133 DAO updates. Thank you again to the council. Dan, thank you for joining as well and answering a couple questions and being here. And really appreciate that. And again, thank you to the wonderful co-host. And thank you again to everyone in the chat who came and asked questions, gave suggestions. Like Santi said, if you have an idea for a pip, have an idea for a business, or you want to do something, pip it and ship it. Create a pip. We have the council now. We can do things. We have a fund allocated to actually doing some cool shit. So that's what I'll leave you off with. Anyways,
Pip it or sip it.
Pip it or
Sorry,
sip
Ray.
it.
I'm stealing everything. Shout out to Ray.
Jesus.
Pip it or sip it. Yeah. All right, we're ending it with that one. All right. Have a good day, everybody. See ya.
See everyone. Bye bye.
But